Hi guys, this is Lashette from Scarlet Moon Creations, and I'm back finally with my mid-October wrap-up, where I talk about the first half of the books I read in the month of October. It's usually after a month of readathons, I'm like, my brain says no. But this time I participated mostly only in Get Graphic With It readathon, which was to read graphic novels. And I joined that, link in the description to announcement videos and whatnot. But I joined that because I've been looking at my library's Twitter account, and they've got some, they had some graphic novel manga lists. And one of them was actually about slice of life manga, and I've always wanted to try those, and them being relatively short was helpful in getting me not into a reading slump, but also like slice of life is usually comforting to me. And yeah, so I've been wanting to try some. Here my library said there's a bunch of translated ones, so I picked a bunch of those, and also some that I've heard about through BookTube mostly, some really popular ones. I requested them all, even though I was going on a trip. The readathon was, I think, from the 13th to the 17th. I'll put the dates here on the screen because I've forgotten. And most of that time I was in Arizona. Actually, all of that time I was in Arizona. So, not home. And then I requested a bunch of the manga and graphic novels just before I left. So, I wound up reading a lot of digital ones, ebooks. I also very low-key participated in the Paranormal Romance readathon as much as I wanted to, but I never, it just doesn't happen for me properly. But anyway, let's just get into the books that I read this month. So the first book that I finished in the month of October was Deacon by Kristen Ashley. This is a dark romance. I mentioned this at the end of my September wrap-up because it was the last book I started in the month of September, and I read the majority of it in that month. And so after talking to Becca from Becca in the Books, she said you can count the amount of pages you had read for Bookopoly. And yeah, so I just wanted to mention it very quickly then, but I've already filmed a full explanation of this book, so let's watch that. Guys, there's editing Lashette, and in my infinite wisdom I accidentally deleted that footage. So here I am while editing to hopefully sum up Deacon sans book, because I had to return it to the library a while ago. I got the idea of reading this book randomly because it's book 4 in a series, The Unfinished Heroes, and I have not read a book by Kristen Ashley before. But I got this book from Heather at Hia Booktubes. It was one of her BDSM book recommendations, and while there is a bit of bondage and a hint of, I guess, dom sub undertones, it's not really, in my opinion, a BDSM book, but this is a dark romance. While reading, I was very unsure about this book, but compelled and interested, and eventually I enjoyed it. I don't even remember how many stars I gave it, and You can find it on my Goodreads if you wish. But the book, it is about we have Cassidy who she grew up from a well-to-do family. When she was a kid, they took her out to the West Coast skiing, and she kind of fell in love with the forest and nature there and always wanted to make her living her life out there. And so when she graduates college, she goes for it. She moves out there, buys a bunch of cabins in hopes that she and her man will build them up, and she'll create like this family vacation spot similar to where she went as a kid. These cabins are completely run down. Her man has other ideas. It doesn't work out. Into the midst of this, like literally the two of them are arguing about money and things, walks this menacing stranger. I want to put it that way. I've seen some of the reviews are like he's brooding or tall, dark, and handsome and all of that stuff. No, Cassidy was very clear because this book is, for the most part, from Cassidy's point of view, which was a surprise. And if you read the synopsis, which I did not, it'll be an even bigger surprise. But 95% of this is from Cassidy's point of view. In walks this very menacing gentleman who's looking for a cabin. They wind up renting him cabin 11 because they need the money. But Cassidy's man doesn't stay in the picture for very long. And this menacing man, John Priest, keeps coming back, renting the exact same cabin every time, if it is available. Eventually, they come to some kind of understanding, and I just gotta say, like, John is a very interesting character. He doesn't talk. Like, he's not mute, whether selectively or physically or anything like that. He just uses his words very, very, very sparingly. And then when he does talk, it's not proper English. Again, this is no shade to him. But when he did start speaking, first it wasn't full sentences, and then a lot of it wasn't grammatically correct, like school proper or whatever. And at first I thought I had to change my thoughts about him being a white man, because I was like, maybe. That aside, I found their relationship very interesting. I'm like remembering stuff. The way they communicated, because she's kind of fiery, not like argumentative, yes. She's very like, I'm an independent woman, I don't need no man, but not in a pushy way or whatever. She's just like, she wants to do for herself. She's had this dream or whatever, and it's not that she doesn't want help, but she doesn't want someone to take over. They fall in love. There is a happily ever after. It's just that for the majority of the book, John doesn't tell us anything about his job, where he goes when he's not in the cabins or whatever, or staying with her once they're together. And his thing is like, you trust me or whatever, you know me, right? And there's a lot of unspoken, we understand each other. And I was like, girl, really? Even in the beginning where she's just like making these assumptions about him, and I'm just like, there's nothing. There, you have no concrete, I'm just supposed to go off of your intuition? I don't know you. So that's why I was like very like, I don't know. But it came together quite well. Since I haven't read this series, I was blown away by John's background and everything. I had no clue. Do I want to read the rest of it? Yes. I did think it was a good book. So check it out. now back to the regular video. So an unintended outfit change, but the next book I finished in the month of October was Ravensong. Ravensong is book 2 in the Green Creek series by TJ Klune. I read book 1 earlier this year, and I realized, why am I putting off continuing this series? I love that book so much. But anyway, this is a paranormal romance, so the only book I got to read for the paranormal romance readathon. And I read the ebook through my library because they now have the entire series, which they did not have any of the books at the start of this year, so I'm very happy about that. Book 1 is Wolfsong, and we're following Ox, a young guy, a regular kid in northwestern United States, somewhere in a small town, who's seen to be as not very smart, like one of those kids who back in the day would be called slow. His father leaves him and his mother on their own, and Ox has to become the man of the family, basically. Even though his mother works, they could lose their house, so he winds up working for a local auto repair shop, because the owner and the guys who work there understand the situation that he's in, even though he's really young. I'm mentioning this because the owner of the auto shop is the main character of Ravensong book 2. But back to Wolfsong, because we don't want to give away spoilers here. This, like I said, is a paranormal romance, urban fantasy. And Ox grows up, like I said, in this small town down the road from this empty house until the family who owns it comes back. And they're kind of mysterious, and their youngest son immediately kind of imprints on Ox in a way, and it's very cute, very coming of age story until it's not, until it gets very violent because things from that family's past come into play. And I think it's cool not to say what the paranormal element is, because I had no idea going in, so it just made it a little spicier for me. Instead of like waiting for this to show up, it was like, well, what could it possibly be? Because the atmosphere was that great. The characters are amazing, and they continue to be human gang all the way. Hilarious. I love those guys so much. It continued in Ravensong. Ravensong, while Wolfsong is more like coming of age, we see Ox and Joe to an extent grow up and fall in love and all of that kind of stuff and deal with responsibilities. In Ravensong, we have 2 grown men. I believe they're in their 30s, but we get some flashbacks to the past before Ox was born, even, and Joe as well, throughout the history of the first book. And I was a little concerned about Ravensong being mostly about the past and rehashing everything that happened in Wolfsong, but from other characters' points of view, and I was like, I'm not sure I really want that. There's a little bit of that in the very beginning, like the first, I think it might be the prologue, actually. Gengoroh is who he is, and I like that he's kind of like this self-described redneck garage guy, and Mark is Mark, and like I said, they've lived through a lot already, and Gordo's kind of in denial of the chemistry that's still there between them. And a lot happens plot-wise with both of them and the Green Creek town that they're in and all of that. The plot in the background towards the end of Wolfsong is not done yet. It continues in Ravensong, even though you could just read Wolfsong and be done. There's more, and I am stomping at the bit to read the third book. But first, I need to read Love Song, which is the novella. I just don't know how to get the free ebook, but maybe I'll finish this series this year. I don't know, but I gave Ravensong 4.5 stars. It was just it's like with Wolfsong, I had no idea what I was gonna get. It was just like, it blew my mind because I wasn't really knowing what I was getting into. Now I know the world, I know the characters. It was like, visiting them once again, and I love that. There's family, but there's also found family, and then, paranormal elements. But I have to say, like, it's just, what's keeping it from being a 5-star is just that I'm already familiar. That's it. So there's that. Let me talk about the next book. I finished in the month of October, and that was, I want to pronounce this right as much as I can, Tarot Kaizen. Kaizen, excuse me, I just mispronounced it anyway. Tarot Kaizen, 100+ daily exercises to transform your unused tarot decks into practical tools. So if you didn't get it from that title, this is a nonfiction book. I've been reading it for the past couple of weeks, little by little. I just wanted to get a gist of what it was before doing the exercises. I randomly came across this years ago on Kindle, and it might have been free that day, and I downloaded it, and I just never used it. But this year have been wanting to do deck studies. Now, I don't have decks that I don't use. Like, I'm not a tarot or oracle deck collector where I just have hundreds, right? Right now, I've got like 20, and they're all here. But like I said, I wanted to do deck studies, like where you just focus on one deck. And yes, I got the idea from Boho Tarot, and I did get her book Tarot Bound, and for whatever reasons, I never included it, I don't think, in any of my wrap-ups, but I read that earlier this year. And then I realized, hey, I've got Tarot Kaizen. And this book is based off of the practices in a Facebook group. It's by Alison Cross, who I believe runs the Facebook group. And it's basically like how to study your tarot deck and get intimate with it to really know the deck itself. And there's nothing like, oh my god, mind-blowing in this. Let's be real, right? It's an exercise book, but I like the way it works. And I will be using it often. There is some overlap with Tarot Bound, which is Boho Tarot's Dawn Michelle's book, but that's okay. I think this is a really good book if, like I said, you want to deep dive into a particular tarot deck and really get to know it, because it has you go through every single card. There are 78 cards in the deck, so that's already the 78 out of the 100 exercises, right? But it gives you a couple of other exercises, obviously, to do that, to notice the differences, because, people have all these decks, all these unique tarot decks based off of a 78 card system, with only a few really unique properties, or styles, I should say. And it's like, what beyond, you know, surface level art makes each deck different. And that, when some of these exercises you'll find out is unique to you as the reader. So I wound up giving this 4 stars. Like I said, a nonfiction book, divination, tarot focused. Next, I read Shuri number 5. And I think this is where I start to get get graphic with it. I wound up not really following the bingo board because I'm not really good at that. And once I went on my vacation, it was just like, why? I wasn't really focused on that. So Shuri number 5, part of the Shuri series, Marvel Comics. These are individual issues, and as you can see from the cover, we've got a special person joining in this particular issue, and that was cool. I feel like I should probably, because very recently I've been reading, like, how should I review comics and manga, things like that, because they're so short and part of a series. Maybe I should have been doing Shuri comics once I've read all 10 of them, but I haven't. But basically the premise of this series is from the first book, T'Challa, the king of Wakanda and Black Panther. He goes on a mission in space with mankind. They're supposed to go through a wormhole and still be tracked by the technology on their ship, but they go through the wormhole and the technology is not working. No one on Earth knows where they are, and enough time has passed that regular people are starting to notice, the people of Wakanda, and slowly, as we get further into the series, the other people of Africa. Shuri is T'Challa's younger sister and heir to the throne, I guess, after him, technically. No. She's his younger sister. She has put on the mantle of Black Panther in the past, but she's reluctant to do so now. So we're following Shuri as she tries to figure out where the hell her brother and mankind went, and dealing with the ins and outs of being royalty and the responsibilities of it in Wakanda and in Wakanda's position as an African country. So she's dealing with her mother and the Dora Milaje, the other nobilities, of heads of states and interest groups and things like that. And also there's some outer space issues coming back to Earth. She's also dealing with a spiritual aspect of Wakanda. And yeah, so it's very interesting. I like this episode. I like Iron Man, like, he's a fave. And I do like Shuri, so it's very interesting seeing them kind of work together. And I do want to know what happens next. What did I give this? 4 stars. It's just, how to rate one individual comic. So the artwork is still great, amazing. The story is good. The dialogue and all of that, it flows very nicely. So I'm very interested to see how this goes. I do want to know what happened to T'Challa and mankind, and I need Shuri to make some concrete decisions about what she's going to do. And I think at the end of this is a little mini cliffhanger. I think that's saying, like, she has. So we'll see what happens going forward. The last book I'm going to talk about in this video is the next, My Brother's Husband. And this is by Gengoroh Tagame, Gengoroh. And I believe they did both the artwork and the storyline, basically. Woo boy. So this is, it has LGBT plus rep. The Japanese name, please forgive me if I butcher this, Ototo no Ato. And there's only 2 volumes, so I've read volume 1. I definitely want to read volume 2. Basically, we're following Yaichi, who is a stay-at-home dad, and they're visited one day by his brother's husband, Mike, who is Canadian and openly gay. Mike's husband, Yaichi's brother, has passed away. Yaichi basically trying to come to terms with his brother's gayness and the fact that he was married, but also how he dealt with it when he found out. And this big foreign man in his house, and the daughter, and also like teaching the daughter like about these things. And Yaichi seems to be homophobic in a way that a lot of regular people are. They don't feel like it's natural, but they don't really want to talk about it. They're not antagonistic towards others. They're just avoidant of it. And here is his brother's homosexuality slapping him in the face in the form of this very nice white man from Canada. And it was very cute, very calm despite the situations. There was a couple of things I was not expecting from this graphic novel. There were some very thoughtful moments, as this is all from Yaichi's point of view, and you know, we're in his head as he's thinking about things, trying to figure out what it is, how he's feeling, why he's acting a certain way, and why he's feeling certain ways, and the conversations that he has with his daughter. But there were some really like more poignant things. Like there was a point where Yaichi took Mike to a place where he and his brother used to play, like a playground or whatever, and the daughter had never been there either, so it was very nice. There's also some like really tense moments with some of the neighbors, some of the friends that he has from the neighborhood, particularly older people. Some things that the daughter has come across. And then towards the end, there was a really like poignant moment with one of the neighbor's kids. So I definitely recommend this. I was just like, and you know, just read it. It's really great. I do want to read more of Gengoroh Tagame's books, but I don't know where I would find them. Like, they're not even here on Goodreads, though his bio definitely says he does BDSM erotic manga, and you know, they depict graphic violence, and the men are hyper masculine and on the bearish side. Mike and even Yaichi in this is kind of definitely on the bearish side. But yeah, so none of those are even on Goodreads, so I don't know if my library has other stuff, but you know, I have read American BDSM erotic manga. Books, so I don't know how I feel about manga, but yeah. The art is also very comforting and somehow sweet. I don't know. I just want to hug everyone. I gave this book What did I give this book? 4.5 stars. Definitely want to read volume 2 so I get the whole experience. I really want Yaichi to open up and have deeper conversations with Mike. And yeah, but there's always going to be that underlying regret because the brother is gone. So those are the first half of the books I read in the month of October. My Brother's Husband definitely counts for Get Graphic with it. Let me know if you participated in that readathon or in the Paranormal Romance readathon. What books did you read? What was your favorite book that you read this month? Like this video if you liked it. Subscribe if you are new. Hit that notification bell so you know when my next recent reads comes up. I'm very much trying to catch up with posting these videos so I could start the new year fresh and not behind. Because, you know, all those wrap-up videos for the year I do in January. But yeah, those are the books I read. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!